Section 29, Legal Hotline Q&A and Course Wrap-Up. Arizona Fair Housing 101, One Final Conversation. Sarah closed her notebook for what she thought was the last time. I think I'm finally finished. David smiled. Almost. He reached into his desk drawer one final time. I always like to finish fair housing with a few questions that every Arizona licensee should be able to answer. Sarah laughed. I had a feeling there would be one more test. David smiled. Not a test. A conversation. Legal hotline question number 1. Can a seller choose a buyer based upon personal preferences? Question. A seller tells the listing agent, I don't care about the purchase price. I only want to sell my home to someone who looks like they'll fit into the neighborhood. May the listing agent follow those instructions? Answer. No. David explained that a real estate licensee cannot participate in discriminatory conduct based upon a protected characteristic. Although a seller makes the final decision regarding whether to accept an offer, a licensee cannot assist, encourage, or facilitate conduct that violates fair housing laws. Our responsibility, David explained, is to comply with the law while protecting the public. Legal hotline question number 2. Can an agent recommend a neighborhood based on a buyer's family? Question. A buyer tells an agent, we have young children. Where do families like us usually live? Should the agent recommend neighborhoods based upon family status? Answer, no. David explained that this could create a steering issue under fair housing laws. Instead, licensees should discuss objective property features and encourage buyers to research neighborhoods using independent public resources. The buyer decides. The agent provides professional real estate services. Legal hotline question number 3. Can a brokerage apply different office policies to different clients? A brokerage requires additional documentation from buyers with children before scheduling showings. Is this permitted? Answer, no. David explained that office policies should be applied consistently to every client. Policies that impose additional requirements based upon a protected characteristic may create fair housing concerns. Consistency, David reminded Sarah, is one of the strongest forms of fair housing compliance. Legal hotline question number 4. What should a licensee do when unsure? Question. An agent receives a request involving a possible fair housing issue but is uncertain how to respond. What is the best course of action? Answer. Pause the conversation and immediately consult the designated broker before taking further action. David smiled. Good brokers don't expect agents to know every answer. They expect agents to ask questions before making a mistake. Sarah laughed. I think you've said that at least 10 times. And hopefully, you'll remember it for the rest of your career. Bringing it all together, David stood and looked around the office. When we started this course, you thought fair housing was simply a list of protected classes. Sarah laughed. I did. David asked, what do you think now? Sarah looked through every page of her notebook. I've learned that fair housing is much more than memorizing laws. It's about treating every consumer fairly. It's about avoiding assumptions. It's about advertising correctly. It's about understanding reasonable accommodations. It's about using objective information. It's about recognizing when to ask for help. It's about protecting the public. David nodded. And that's exactly why fair housing exists. Final thoughts. Every real estate transaction is an opportunity to demonstrate professionalism. Every buyer deserves equal access to housing. Every seller deserves honest representation. Every tenant deserves equal treatment. Every landlord deserves accurate legal guidance. Every real estate professional has the responsibility to ensure that housing decisions are based upon lawful, objective business practices, not personal preferences or protected characteristics. Throughout this course, you've learned the history of fair housing, the protected classes, advertising rules, disability accommodations, legal enforcement, ethical responsibilities, and real-world legal hotline scenarios. More importantly, you've learned how those laws apply to the everyday decisions made by Arizona real estate professionals. The most successful licensees understand that fair housing is not simply about avoiding complaints. It is about creating an environment where every consumer has an equal opportunity to pursue the dream of homeownership or housing without unlawful discrimination. As an Arizona real estate professional, you now play an important role in protecting those rights. Continue learning. Continue treating every consumer with professionalism, fairness, dignity, and respect. By doing so, you will not only comply with the law, you will strengthen public confidence in the real estate profession and fulfill one of the Arizona Department of Real Estate's most important missions, protecting the public. Congratulations on successfully completing Arizona Fair Housing 101. We wish you continued success in your real estate career. Online discussion question 1. What was the single most important fair housing lesson you learned from this course? And how will it affect your daily business practices? Answer. While responses will vary, the central lesson is that fair housing requires consistent, objective, and professional treatment of every consumer. Applying these principles daily helps protect the public, reduces legal risk, and builds long-term client trust. Question 2. How can a designated broker help reduce fair housing risk within a brokerage? Answer. A designated broker provides supervision, establishes office policies, reviews advertising, offers continuing education, answers fair housing questions, and helps ensure transactions comply with state and federal law. Question 3. Why is fair housing considered one of the most important responsibilities of an Arizona real estate professional? Answer. Fair housing promotes equal access to housing, protects consumers from unlawful discrimination, and reinforces the public's trust in the real estate profession. Every licensee has a responsibility to uphold these principles in every transaction.